Greetings, sports fans and Pokémon fans. I have some fun new things to show you. Basically, a bunch of these. And I want to open one of these because I haven't really opened too many Pokemon 151 products. I think I've opened at least one Elite Trainer box. What else have I opened? Have I ever opened like a premium, like a collector box? I can't remember opening one of those, so I don't know, maybe it's just that one Elite Trainer box, but this right, so I like to do a little bit of kind of education with Pokemon stuff, because I'm, still learning a lot about Pokemon, and I know most of my audience is not too familiar with Pokemon stuff, so I hope I can make these a little more interesting for you, these videos where I'm doing Pokemon stuff, where I can kind of explain a little bit. And if you already know a lot about Pokemon, I don't think it's still an ASMR video, so hopefully you'll get relaxed. And you can tell me, listen carefully, and tell me if I say anything wrong. But so basically, every year or so, Pokemon comes out, with a new kind of era, in the current era of cards. Because sports cards have a year, a season, right? They're from the 2024 football season. All the products, that come out for that year feature the rookies that came out. So Pokemon doesn't have seasons; it's just a made-up thing. So they have like eras, or some people call them sets. But then it's like, what do you call the subsets? Because I guess you could call them subsets. But anyways, I call them eras, because I've heard other people say that. So instead of each year having a new kind of group of products, they have eras, and the current era is Scarlet and Violet. So there's like a Scarlet and Violet base set that comes out each year that's just called Scarlet and Violet, and then after that they have additional sets, some of which are I forget what they call them, but it's basically like the main sets, the sort of the big Kahuna sets that they produce booster boxes and then a variety of other things for. And then there are what they call specialty sets, which are full sets of cards, but they do not have booster boxes made of those, so they come in a variety of other products. And a booster box is like a hobby box of cards. It's got 36 packs in it, and it's fairly hefty. But this product here is from the Scarlet and Violet era, and 151 is the name of the set. And this is a specialty set, so you could never get these in the booster boxes that are kind of the staple, the hobby box of Pokemon sets. You can only get them in other kinds of formats, and this is probably the most efficient format in terms of like size, because it's a pretty small box. They come also in large like sort of packaged displays where the packs are kind of laid out. And actually they do this for baseball cards now, because Topps does these kinds of things at Costco. But they do a lot of those for Pokemon, and you get like whatever 6-7 packs in there, but it's like a giant box, so it's kind of a pain in the nuts to deal with. But these are nice and cute and efficient use of space. There's 6 boxes in here, or 6 packs in here, so I consider these to be kind of like the most desirable format for a specialty set like 151. Now, 151 is very popular. There's a lot of really cool cards that you can pull. A lot of those kind of like shiny cards that, foily cards that people like a lot and that can have a lot of value depending on which one you're talking about. So yeah, so like basically the more, collectible and desirable cards there are in a set, the more popular it's going to be, and this one has a lot of good cards in it that people really like, and so it's become very popular, and popular means that it's harder to find because people buy it up whenever they see it. And this set came out quite a while ago. I would say at least like 6 months ago, and it's really kind of dried up. Pokemon's kind of funny. One of the things I like about Pokemon is that generally, when a set comes out, even if it's very popular from the get, there's always going to be enough supply so that you can find that set, the products for that set somewhere, right? Like you may have to look around, go to a couple of Best Buys, Barnes & Noble, whatever. You can find the cards like for at least like 3 or 4 months, no matter how popular a set is. You can find some of the products out there that contain that set. So, you always have a chance to go and buy whatever you think is going to be a good set long term, and that you'd like to hold on to some some unopened product for investment purposes or just for collecting. You'd like to have some of the boxes sitting around for a long time, right? So that's what I love about Pokemon. Because like with sports cards, if a set is going to be popular, and often that right away, because some products are just like whatever, Prism football, right, or optic football. Oh, that stuff's always going to be snapped up. I've been trying to find optic football out in the wild since it came out, whatever, like 3 months ago. Haven't seen any. And I check pretty regularly, not like super religiously, but more regular than the average person. So, it's kind of a pain that you can't get any, right? Pokemon, you can always pretty much plan to get some of what you want. You might just have to look a little bit harder for some releases than others. But generally speaking, these are displays, which are basically, cases of those little boxes I was just showing you, and there's 10 of those in each of these. And so I basically just showed you all of the 151 booster bundles that I have. But anyways, so, you can always get this stuff, but Pokemon 151 has been out long enough and it's popular enough that it's basically not possible to find them in, kind of retail situations. Even at like Costco, my local Costco, I tend to get whatever I want at Costco and Sam's Club because there just aren't that many people that, shop at those places where I'm from, which is a pretty small place. So, the baseball cards and the, Pokemon stuff kind of sits around for longer in where I am than anywhere else. But even the Costco products that had these 151 cards in are now gone. So basically, I'm not aware of anywhere you can get 151 stuff at retail. And if you live in a larger market, this probably happened a month or two ago because there's just more demand. So it's difficult to get these. So these, I think when they came out, I think their retail was like $29.99, something like that, for 6 packs, which, boy, where's my calculator when I need it? Not the calculator I want, but it's the calculator I'm going to use because it's here. So $29.99 divided by 6 equals $5 a pack, and that's kind of I think that's the current retail for booster packs. Like if you buy the individual packs at the, sleeved packs at Target or wherever, those packs that hang on a rack, I think they're $5. So that's kind of the MSRP for most packs, even when they're within, a bundle. But in any event, these boxes, for the past couple of months at least, have been selling in the aftermarket for about $50. So you're paying like $10. No, what is that? Did I do that math right? 30 divided by 6. Yeah, that's $5 a pack. So, at $50, it's not quite double the price. So you're probably paying whatever, $9 a pack. Actually, a little more than that, like $9.20 a pack. If you buy these for $50, which is generally what you'd have to pay for the past few months, but in the last few days, something very interesting has happened. Some of these have been starting to show up. Walmart suddenly had some of these that you could buy for, I think they started out at like $28.98, and then those ran out, and then they had some available for $29.99, and that's what I got these for, is $29.99. These individual ones. So the aftermarket, the resale price of these has dropped a little bit. I just checked before I was making this video, and these are selling for, I think, like about $46. On eBay, I think $48 shipped. So, the fact that there's a bunch of people who have gotten these, like me, from Walmart out there, and are trying to flip them, means the price goes down a little bit, because everybody's trying to have the lowest price on eBay or on TCG Player, which is a, online market for all things TCG, trading card game related. So the price has gone down a little bit, and I'll tell you another thing that I am privy to, because I am a customer of a distributor, as you may know if you watch the channel. Small amounts of these things have showed up. Those two bundle or displays, they're called, of these with the 10 of these boxes wrapped up in a box. Those ones that I have came from my distributor. Now, I did not buy those by themselves. I had to buy like $3,200 of Pokemon stuff. They put a bundle of Pokemon products, Scarlet and Violet, Paradox Rift, Shining Fates, I think, stuff, a bunch of just super random stuff, all in a bundle of for $3,200, and then in that bundle you got 2 of those display cases. That's where those display cases came from. So it seems that my distributor got some of these bundles in, and they knew they were a hot commodity, so they said, oh, well, if you buy $3,200 of stuff, you can have a couple of those in the, we'll let you buy some of those. And they did sell them for, the wholesale price, which is probably, gosh, I should look that up, but I feel like it's a crazy good, it's probably like $22, $23 per bundle. It's a really good price. Because I actually think that distributors are prohibited from selling Pokemon stuff by Pokemon. They're prohibited from selling stuff for over, the distributor agreed pricing. So basically they sell for what they sell for, and, they just sit there until they sell out. And if they have stuff sitting around on their shelves, like I know they have Paradox Rift sitting around because I've been able to buy booster boxes and cases of that stuff, basically since I got into Pokemon 4 or 5, actually that was like 3 or 4 months ago. So I know they're sitting on a ton of that stuff, and they're sitting on a ton of other stuff, and that's why they do these bundles, or these packages where you have to buy a bunch of Pokemon stuff to get the good Pokemon stuff, because it doesn't break the pricing rule that I'm sure, I don't know this for a fact, because obviously I haven't seen the contracts between distributor and the Pokemon Company, but I'm sure that they do these things because, you know, they can get rid of stuff, and then, you know, incentivize you with the ability to buy these other things, which even at the distributor pricing are a crazy good deal because they're so. There's a hollow Aerodactyl. Anyways, yeah, so they can't jack up the price of these when they get them, so they just make you buy a bunch of other stuff, right? So anyways, I know that they got, you know, some of these in, and so one thing I want to talk about, especially for you Pokemon experts out there, is I've mentioned this a couple times before in Pokemon videos, that you know, there was a rumor going around like a month ago that Pokemon was going to reprint this product, and basically there's going to be a bunch more out in the marketplace, right? And that was not the first time I've heard this idea that Pokemon reprints certain sets. You know, if they allegedly they do this when products sell out and there's just not enough out in the market and they want to get more in the market, right? So I am new to Pokemon. I've only been buying it for, you know, again, 3 months, something like that, 4 months. But I've heard a lot about these reprints because every, you know, Pokemon YouTuber talks about how they reprinted certain sets, and, you know, the prices of products go down when they do that. But, you know, usually they just rebound as soon as the, you know, reprinted stuff runs out of stock. And that's kind of, you know, all I know. But I have to say, when I heard there was going to be a Pokemon reprint, I'm sort of jaded about this, and this is why I'm asking. Because I come into the Pokemon thing, you know, as a totally objective. Well, I mean, obviously I have my own interests, but I'm saying I you know, don't know anything about what's happened really with products, Pokemon products, in the past whatever number of years since they started making Pokemon cards, because I just wasn't paying any attention to it. So I just see what I see now, and so I saw that they announced, or that, you know, there were YouTubers talking about this reprint of 151 that was coming, and people were saying that distributors were getting, you know, 151 stuff. And I'm looking at my distributor, and there's like not a freaking clue that any 151 stuff is ever going to be for sale. No, you know, sort of pre-ordering or listing of products of any kind. But when I heard that, you know, there was reprints coming, I had ordered a bunch of 151 from Costco. They had these collection boxes that were they were like $90, and I was going to buy 20 of them. And long story short, those things are worth like $145 now, and going up every day pretty much. So I would have scored huge, but right after, literally the day after I ordered them, I heard this rumor that they were reprinting. So I'm like, oh, well, I guess that means my distributor is going to have a bunch of it, so I can just buy from them, and I know I'm going to get a good deal because they can't, you know, I presume they can't sell at a crazy marked up price. Ooh, I think this is a good one, Mew EX. I don't know, I might be wrong. I know Mew's very popular. Some Mews are very valuable, but this may or may not be one of them. We'll look it up. So anyways, I canceled that order, and of course, then they immediately went out of stock on that product, which is crazy because they had. I hate these freaking sleeves. They have like a little indentation, and I'm afraid they're gonna it's gonna affect the card if it's pressed up against it, like in a box of thousands of cards. So yeah, so they go immediately out of stock on this thing that they've had forever, and I'm like, God dang it! Now I really hope they get some of this stuff into my distributor, because I really want to stock up on it. And I would have had a nice collection of it if I had bought those, but you know, I canceled the order. So anyway. anyways, now, so then I'm like waiting and waiting for the restock, the reprint, mind you, the reprint of 151 to show up at my distributor, and you know what? Not a drop of 151 showed up at my distributor until this, this package deal that they have where you have to buy $3,200 and some of stuff to get 2 lousy display cases of 151. And I think there might be like a collector box that has 151 stuff that came out relatively recently as well. But all of this made me think, like, is the Pokemon world, like, totally wrong about the existence of reprints? Because I'm pretty sure, like, the Pokemon company has never acknowledged publicly that they make reprints. Maybe I'm wrong again. I am totally new. So who knows what they may or may not have said, but my guess is there's nothing public where they've said, oh, we're reprinting, or acknowledging that they have reprinted any product that they've ever come out with. Flareon Hollow. Sorry, that's my water pump going there. And so I'm like, you know what? I have this theory that they don't do reprints. They have never done a reprint. They don't, like, fire up their presses. I'm sure they use a printing company. They don't print anything themselves, of course, but print companies are under very high demand, as we know, because companies like Upper Deck are like 15 years behind. They're still releasing products from 2022, I swear to God, at this point, because they're so behind schedule. So I know that printers of cards, and there's honestly like 3 of them in the world that print everything for every TCG, every sports card company. Anybody who needs to, print these pretty high-tech cards. This is no joke to print these things. So very few companies that can do this. And, I can't believe that, Pokemon is like going back and doing price sets, and sometimes I hear rumors that like Pokemon is going to reprint sets from like the prior era of cards, not the Scarlet and Violet era, but the one that happened before it, Sword and Shield stuff that hasn't been hasn't been released in the last year, 8 months or whatever. So I'm like, okay, this all sounds like insane to me. This sounds like somebody at some point decided that, like, the sudden influx of things into the market meant that Pokemon is reprinting. And it's funny because in the sports card world, people always make jokes about, especially, so actually the 2 main areas I collect, I feel like right now, are Pokemon, and then like older, like 80s sports card and non-sports card wax on open products, right? So in the latter, older baseball wax products, people are always making this joke that they're like still printing certain products like 1987 Topps baseball, because every once in a while you'll run into somebody who's got like a giant warehouse of 87 Topps that they've been hanging on to since 1987, because we all thought that was going to be the next 52 Topps back in 87, and some people were just unwilling to give up the dream until the bitter end. I'm kind of surprised we haven't got more like bigger hits out of this stuff. Usually they're flying out, but maybe I'm thinking of Ground Scene it. So I know people like to joke about this idea of reprinting, and I'm like, I wonder if somebody just sort of started saying, kind of jokingly, that the Pokemon company reprints cards, and then the fact, now I don't deny, and as evidenced by these things showing up at Walmart here, like whatever, a year after this stuff came out. Actually, it's not been a year, but close to a year, I think, since course, the way through 2024, so maybe it has been a year. But I don't doubt that this stuff is now showing up in, relatively small batches. But folks, that is not a reprint, in my view. That is a restock. So I think what happens is that Pokemon, prints up a very large batch of these things, booster packs. And the interesting thing about Pokemon, which is different than sports cards, is this booster pack, is the same as a booster pack that comes in any other product that has 151 in it. There's no hobby, there's no retail, there's no jumbo, there's no, super jumbo, there's no, different packs that come in, blasters versus hangers versus hobby versus retail versus blah, 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 right? In sports, there's just a ton of different flavors of packs for every product. In Pokemon, there's one flavor. This pack right here with 10 cards is the exact same pack that comes in any product that has this specialty set. So Pokemon can print and, wrap a bajillion of these things, and then they can decide later what they're going to put them in. And I think that's at least from the very limited, activity that I've seen since I've been paying attention to this stuff in the last 3-4 months, that seems to me what is likely. They just, so the packaging, they may actually print that up, but the packs, I think they just sort of, they have the packs, or maybe they even have the cards and they do the packaging of things, but I think they probably pack it all out, put it into packs and store it somewhere, and then they decide what formats they're gonna do, over time, and towards the end they they put a bunch of stuff out in whatever formats they think are gonna sell or that are most profitable for them to do. So I don't know. My theory is that nothing's being reprinted. There are things that are being sort of restocked, but there is a finite amount of cards they print. They print once, and they may, sort of seed those things into the market at interesting and curious times. But I don't think that they, sort of get the whole production done and then sell that out and then go, okay, we're going to go all the way back to the printing press and we're going to print up and cut and package stuff. I don't know. That's my theory. I may be absolutely wrong. I may be missing everything, but I kind of feel like, I just feel like somewhere along the way, just like they, these people that thought they were going to do a 151 reprint, whatever, 2-3 months ago. It's more like 2 months ago. And then what, has happened is, okay, Walmart gets a big stock. My distributor and probably other distributors get a small, amount of new booster bundles. And that's kind of it. That doesn't feel like a reprint. That feels like a restock to me of stuff that they had sitting around. And they were just deciding how to get that out into the market. And, man, I feel like I've really struck out on 150, all the 151 I've opened. But let's look up this Mew EX and see what we got. So that's my theory. I would like you guys to tell me if you think I'm nuts, but that's kind of where I'm at on this concept of reprints. And I was watching this video by 1 second here. Okay, I was watching this video by Alpha Investments, and he didn't say it in so many words, but he effectively sort of indicated that, like people like panicking about restocks, coming and killing the market for any particular set was just like people, basically being hyperbolic and spastic. And it made me think, maybe he agrees with me. Right, where it's not this one, because that's like some weird prize pack series thing. It's this one. Double rare 164. Oh, that's weird. Why does it say 164? It's the market price $3.99. The cheapest available $7.28. Someone calls like a $5 card. This is the kind of card where, like, if you have a nicely centered copy, this one does not appear to be nicely centered to me. It's funny because all Pokemon cards are pretty well centered by sports card sports card standards, I think. But this one feels pretty off center. Although, I don't know, maybe I'm misreading where that border is, because this one looks a little less off center when I look at that being the border compared to the border over here from like there to there. Anyways, a pretty cool card, but certainly not enough to make up the value of the box. But again, I only paid $30, so I'm like coming up ahead. So anyways, I wanted to share with you my theory on quote-unquote reprints of Pokemon that, again, maybe I'm onto something because, again, I'm coming from the sports card world. Things are very different there. And when I first heard of, like, this idea of reprints, I thought, well, that sounds terrible, absolutely terrible, because reprints do not exist in the sports card world, or if they do, they're a very closely held secret that nobody would ever admit from a manufacturer of sports cards. Can you imagine, right, like the impact on the value of things if suddenly they just start, doubling, tripling the print of popular products after they came out, right? It would be insane. So, like, when I first heard of reprints in the Pokemon, I was like, wow, that sounds terrible. Like, I could buy all this stuff, it could go up in value because it's, there's just not enough of it out there, and then all of a sudden they reprint it, and then there's a ton of supply to meet the demand, and all this appreciation goes out the window. Like, that's crazy. So I think it sounds very, like, suspicious to me as a sports card guy. And again, maybe there's like very concrete evidence that they are reprinting and they have reprinted and it's a very common thing. I don't know. Maybe there is, but just from what I've seen in the short time that I've collected Pokemon stuff here, it feels like that's probably not what's going on. And it's more like they just, they have a finite amount of this stuff. Nobody knows what that finite amount is. Nobody knows exactly when they're going to release, all of their stuff. And then it sort of feels like a reprint is happening at some point when a bunch of it kind of surfaces. But, it may not actually be that. I don't know. That's my thought. I'm curious to know what you Pokemon collectors, especially if you've been kind of around a while and maybe you've seen something that actually definitively seems like a reprint. Or, the Pokemon company has said something that, confirms it. I don't know, but these are just my thoughts. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you enjoyed the 151. I gotta say, I've not had great luck with 151. I've only opened 2 things, and honestly, I haven't had great luck with Ground Zenith either, which is my favorite product. Maybe 151 is second most favorite. So I'm not really sure. I do have a lot of fun opening Ground Zenith. A little less fun at this, but got a pretty sweet card. So, alright guys, check y'all later. Have a great one. Bye now.